Hi, everybody, and welcome to AQ's Blog and Grill. We're excited today to have the two co-founders of a great new startup called Plasticity, and I think I'm saying that correct.
Yep, Plasticity.
Plasticity.
Yep.
Plasticity. We've got Jennifer Moss and Jim Moss here to chat to us today on kind of the innovative way that they've developed to help culture get stronger, get happier, get better.
Yeah.
Is that pretty close?
That's pretty close, yeah. We even sometimes go as far as saying improving people's happiness.
Yes.
Improving happiness.
It's like a dirty word.
Why are corporate customers now, because you have corporate customers now,
Yep.
even in your startup stage, are buying your services. Why are they interested in happy employees?
Imagine you've got a problem with your cell phone bill, and then you call in to get service, and you get a happier person on the other end. You know, you can reduce call times by half, right? So customer experience is one. Creativity is a huge one. The ability to problem solve, even right down to manual dexterity, typing on the computer, 19% faster and 16% fewer mistakes when you're primed to be in a happier frame of mind. So if you're coding, 16% fewer mistakes if you're writing code or you're writing copy, that turns into time, and time is money.
You're likely to catch more errors too, they're saying, with programmers, and
A keener eye.
And the stat around creativity, there's science behind why you aren't creative when you're stressed. You literally can't access parts of your brain. So you can't be innovative, you can't be creative. You can be, but it's a lot more limited.
Okay.
And I think the statistic is around 300% more creative.
More creative,
So
and specifically more so in problem solving.
the rationale, you already know it, I think. You know when you're optimistic that you breed optimism in other people. You know that when you put out an energy that's positive, you get that back. So we know it intuitively.
Yeah.
I think that's what's really important, is that it's common sense. But now when we actually start to test how this plays out in the workplace, the statistics and the studying around it is amazing, how it is truly beneficial.
Google says exactly that.
Okay.
We just follow the statistics and what the data tells us to do, and it just so happens that it's, improve the happiness and give them access to the things that make them happier, and their performance goes up.
So this all got started as the Smile Epidemic.
Yeah.
And this had to do, Jim, with kind of your personal challenges health-wise.
Yeah,
and
I had this illness, right? I had the neuromuscular illness and lost the ability to walk. Looks a lot like Parkinson's when it's around, or like mild MS. So incredibly stressful time. And it's funny because as a professional athlete, we know a lot about how to manage our mental state to put us in the best frame of mind for performance, right? Visualization, it's taken very seriously.
Right.
But we don't translate that across to just day-to-day performance. I kind of stumbled on it in the hospital, and it was the result of the two nurses.
The two nurses?
Yeah.
It's a great story. You got to
Love
share
that.
it.
Yeah, we tell the story of the two nurses. So in the morning, I need to go to the bathroom, and I'm not prepared to use the bedpan yet. So I have to have a nurse come and help me to get to the bathroom. And it's about 10 or 12 feet. It takes about 10 minutes. Halfway there, we have to stop for a break. And the morning nurse on our way, she says to me while we're having our break, you better get used to this because it's going to be like this for a long time. And, very true, likely. Preparing me for the worst, kind of.
Right.
Thinking that it's protecting me. But what happened was I went back to the bed after that, and I really ruminated, oh, right, this is going to be a long time. What's a long time, right? I guess I better get used to this.
Right.
Not motivating at all. So later that same day after dinner, I have to go to the bathroom again. New nurse comes in to help, and same routine, stop in the same spot for a break. Only she puts her hand on my shoulder and she says, don't you worry about it, sweetheart. You'll be back on your feet in no time. It just felt entirely different.
Yeah.
And they're maybe both correct, right? Depending on how you interpret time, but with very different purposes. One's to protect you, and one's to motivate and inspire you.
Right.
And I knew immediately that the way that it made me feel was how I needed to feel if I was going to get better fast, quickly. And so I started to research. How can I take the power away from other people's words and take control of that power myself.
Right.
And put myself in this state of mind that's going to make me more productive. So this led us to understanding quickly that gratitude has been proven to be the easiest way to put yourself in a positive, hopeful, optimistic, resilient mindset.
Okay.
Once you take a minute to notice something, anything at all that you can be grateful for, you've stopped paying attention to what you don't have for a moment. And a lot of times when we're ill or when we're challenged, it's called the resource loss theory. And you focused on the resource that you don't have that you would like to have right at this minute. And then that's kind of well, I don't have what I need, right? I don't have what I need, it's gone.
Okay.
And whether or not you can do anything about that is maybe not up to you. But when you're grateful, you're actually taking an inventory of what you do have.
Right.
So in the hospital, it started with things like salt and pepper, little tiny things. So out of that, I started to do this journaling, and Smile Epidemic emerges, about 18 months later. And Smile Epidemic was essentially building an app that allowed people and prompted people to be more grateful on a daily basis, and then to notice the benefits of that. So we started to move it into, soft skills.
Yes.
This is part of social emotional intelligence. This is an extension of soft skills. So, public speaking, being self-confident, things that we typically think of that are business traits. Guess what? Resilience is one. Being able to hear no 100 times and still pick up the phone
Right.
and ask again, until somebody says yes. Being optimistic. So, there's been a change in the marketplace, but you're optimistic that you can find a solution to be successful again in the future. These are important traits to business, but they're also important traits to personal flourishing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, that then ties back into the happier you are, the more effective you are,
That's right.
which is why organizations are now contracting
That's it.
Plasticity to come in and help. So how does that work, Jennifer?
We create the social environment where people can share what they're grateful for. And then what comes out of that is some really great information about how happy, how engaged the culture is at any one time throughout the day. So we can pull, real-time information to say to a leader that, okay, you guys are, doing well, this is why. Or maybe you need to investigate why potentially that the organization is not feeling so engaged.
We're hearing this phrase more and more often, culture eats strategy. Now, is this what we're finding in the marketplace?
There's fundamental ingredients, right? So you have to have a great product. You've got to have great sales channel. You've got to have all those things. And you've got to have great people. But just hiring great people isn't enough. There needs to be a culture. The culture is the glue that holds them together and unifies them towards a common goal, the goal of the company. And so we measure that. And you need to know what that is. Right? Can you flourish in our culture? Are you likely to flourish? Can you add to our culture? Or will you detract from our culture? I had a great conversation. I went and I was doing a little bit of recon, right? And I was at this conference, and it was all CFOs, Chief Technology Officers, and oddly enough, Chief Innovation and Information Officers. So C-suite, but not CEOs. And one of the big themes that day was, how do I manage millennials? And finally, somebody stood up and said, it feels like I'm supposed to be responsible for the happiness of my millennial demographic. And I couldn't take it anymore. And I think I put my hand up, but I just stood up and answered. And I said, actually, no. What you are is responsible for the fiscal well-being of your company and the progress towards the common goals of the company. It just so happens that they have an expectation of happiness, which will lead you most directly to that end result. So you can make the best decisions for your boardroom and give them the ping pong table and a little bit of flex time and bring your own device to work. All this crazy stuff that they request. And they're going to give you their best
and that's one of the things that we try to address with Plasticity is figuring out what really does make your employees happy. It's about listening to your people and finding out what they want and being able to not necessarily give them the world. We all can't be Google giving them everything that giving your employees everything that they desire, but
And that's not really what they want.
no, it's just it is just being able to be responsive and say be heard, be happy. You know, you just want your people to feel like they're being listened to, and if they feel they have a voice, then it can be okay. We can't maybe give you this now, you know, but maybe we can work on giving that to you in the future. We know it's important to you now.
Now we know it's on the radar.
Yes.
Right. Even if you've hired the best, are you getting the most out of them?
Right.
Yes.
Are you giving them an environment? So we're often too quick, especially in very large corporations, to hire a new resource in when there is surplus resource available that you're not tapping into.
Yes.
So how do you get more out of the investment you've already made?
Right.
How do you take the next best performer and give them that little thing that's missing to make them a top performer?
There you go.
And get more out of that resource that you've already invested in that person?
So you're in Hyperdrive and the Accelerator Center?
Yep.
So how is that working for you?
It's unbelievable.
We are so impressed with Waterloo and the systems that are in place in Communitech and the Accelerator Center and Laurier. I mean, we just
Yeah, the Laurier Launchpad.
the Launchpad.
That was our
Steve
birthplace.
Farlow.
Steve
Steve
Farlow,
Farlow.
yeah. Steve Farlow
We're so
was our
lucky.
shepherd in the first few months,
Yes.
giving us safe haven.
and our evangelist and our publicist.
Yeah,
and
actually,
our,
we just did an article. I just did an interview with McLean's
yeah.
about Laurier Launchpad,
Excellent.
and they wanted to know about a company who had been through the rigors
Yep.
and kind of graduated. I'd say we're still there. You know, we still lean on them.
Yeah.
But you know,
do.
we've advanced through, and it was all about that. It was about the ecosystem. It was about
Yeah.
startup life, and I would say every single day at Communitech or the AC or Laurier, there's a pearl to be found,
Yep.
because somebody's got the answer that you need, and it's close. You just have to
Very
go and ask, or ask someone, and if they don't have the pearl, they know who does. They either have the answer you need or know exactly where to get it.
So as we look at the runway of Plasticity,
Yeah.
we're in the startup mode.
Yep.
We're on the launch pad.
We're on the Launchpad. We have a working product out there.
Yep.
We have customers.
Yep.
You have investors.
Yep.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do.
And so what's the next step?
Growth.
Growth. Yeah.
Systems
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
to support growth.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
And then more systems to support growth. So it's a lot of do it by hand, learn as much as you can, automate what you
Yes.
should, so that there are systems to support growth. You know, even systems. You got to, if you're going to hire a salesperson, how are you going to train them? You know, what are they going to do when they show up? So there's this incubation period we're in again, where you're still growing as fast as you can, but at the same time you got to document, learn, and
Learn.
don't repeat mistakes. Don't be afraid to make them
Right.
ever. Right? Fail
Fail
forward.
fast. Fail forward, yes.
Freedom to fly.
Yeah.
Freedom to
And then you know, take that book or that page out of the book and replace it with the next page
Yeah.
until you've tested that hypothesis.
There you go.
And then, as much as we can, surrounding ourselves with geniuses. You know,
Yeah.
people who are committed.
We're constantly hiring people that are
Capable.
smarter than us.
It's one of the
concept.
one of the best, yeah,
Always.
yeah, which isn't easy to do for me. That was the same process I used in getting married.
You did well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
We marry up in
You
our
marry up,
in our
yeah.
team,
Be an
which is so
overachiever.
great. Yeah, we're overachieving.
so just bring in people who can teach us and manage
Yeah.
us.
Right.
And again, back to be humble. Know what you're good at, know what you're not, and be very open and willing to bring in people who are better than you, knowing that they're going to make it the best.
Yeah. And you're going to change the world.
And we're going to change the world along
That's
the way.
our
See,
That's all.
final goal.
That's all.
That's
Yeah,
it.
That's all. So it's been
great.
Every
great
intention.
chatting to you.
Yeah, thank you so
That's
much for
great,
having us.
Alan.
Yeah, we
Thank
appreciate
you.
it, yeah.
Okay. So leave your comments underneath the interview portal there, and we'll have Jennifer, Jim, or myself get back to you as it's most relevant. So thanks for tuning in, and thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
on the show.
Yeah, thanks
Thanks,
for having
Alan.
us.
Okay.